Have you ever thought about mastering a skill? We're going to look in this video at 5 areas: defining a skill and some categories of skills, identifying what it is you want to learn, what makes good sources of information, applying what you want to learn, routes to mastery. Defining a skill and some categories of skills. First of all, we're going to look at what a skill is, and then we'll look at different categories. From the Oxford Languages Dictionary, the definition of mastery: comprehensive knowledge or skill in a particular subject or activity. Skill: the ability to do something well. So we'll look at some category examples. This is by no means exhaustive, but should give you some ideas of various areas of skills. Carpentry, cooking, plumbing, welding, fishing, programming, hunting, first aid. We'll take survival skills as one of these areas. Survival skills are really useful to have because they always give the opportunity for self-provision. Whether you're able to make a fire or make a shelter or hunt animals, cook the animals, survival skills are also a great way to have fun outdoor activities as well. Another skill we'll look at is to do with crafting. When you take raw materials and transform them into something practical for everyday use. So take, for example, carpentry. Carpentry can be a great job and is used on building sites and in other contexts with making furniture and things. It's also a skill that is really good in a context for our homes. Furniture can be made, cots can be made, different items like wooden toys, for instance, could be made using carpentry as a skill. First aid, helping others. This is something which is really important. When people have first aid skills, they're able to help others. If many people have first aid skills, it is one small thing that can contribute to a safer society. Now we've looked at various categories. We want to be able to identify what it is we want to learn. Are we persuaded by passion for a subject? Sometimes people that do subjects really well, they are very passionate about them. They can clearly communicate what they think is great about those things. When we attempt them, sometimes we can find that actually we agree with them, that those things are actually really good. Other times, however, something that we try to learn doesn't meet our expectations. Something that's really important in identifying what we want to learn is what we are good at and what we like doing. The interest in something is really important because it impacts our motivation. And because it impacts our motivation, even if there's something we're not so good at, if we enjoy doing it, there's a higher chance that we'll actually be able to get good at it. Something we want to think about is initial expectations when learning. Sometimes when we see an expert, they can make what they're doing look really easy. And so when we start off with something, we find it very hard, and that can be frustrating. So if we go in with the expectation that we're starting off from the level of being a novice, then it will be easy for us to keep going with that learning. The next thing we want to consider is being equipped to learn. Part of being equipped to learn is we want to help ourselves remember. So people learn different ways, people remember things differently. So some people will find taking notes very helpful, some people will find listening to recordings, and there may be other ways that you find helps you remember those things. So that's something that we want. Now, when we think about interest linked to motivation, the interest we have will help with our motivation to do something. We want to think about what attitude are we approaching learning with. Another consideration is our physical state. Are we tired? Are there things on our mind? These things could impact how well we're able to remember things. Also, is what we're listening to, what we're writing, what we're considering as we learn things, something that's already familiar. Sometimes when we hear something familiar in a new piece of information, that can cause us to make information less important and therefore harder to remember. When we do this, we can actually miss out on the new information that we want to actually get. So the impact of importance reducing or increasing importance will be essential in if we remember or don't remember something. Let me give you an example of an orange horse. Imagine an orange horse hopping on its back legs to your favourite song. We will come back to this example at the end of the video. So we want to build from a place of being highly motivated so that what we want to learn, we actually learn it. So now we've figured out what we want to learn, we want to look at what makes good sources of information. So there are different ways to find good source of information. We will look at one in particular, which is peer-reviewed journals. When we look at a peer-reviewed journal, is it robust when the approach being discussed is questioned by ourselves or by others? So is a peer-reviewed paper cited by many different sources? With those sightings, are they sightings that are highly critical, or are they citations where you have the methodology being reaffirmed by others? Another thing to consider is the character of the source. Is there honesty and integrity? Because even if there's information which seemingly aligns, if it's not come from a place of honesty and integrity, then that removes the trust that we can have in that information. So when we have good source of information, we want to apply what we learn. When you apply what you learn, are you wanting to learn something for casual enjoyment? If so, are you actually enjoying what you're learning? If it's towards mastery of a skill, we want to implement those things in a true way. By a true way, we're talking about two different ideas. One is more propositional, as in, is it true or is it false? The other way is like the flight of an arrow, accuracy. How accurate is what we have learned? So with the application, we've got the theory and the usage. When we apply what we learn, we can gain a new knowledge synthesis. In what we've learned, we find out the information that was good. We find out the information that was not so good. We can drop the information that was not so good. We gain new information from what we actually learn, and then we combine that with the accuracy of the theories that we have. And so we attain new knowledge that way. When we can do this over multiple areas, we find ourselves with a benchmark, and that benchmark helps us to test new pieces of information. So that means that we can sort out useful from less useful information from multiple sources. Next, we'll look at routes to mastery. Synthesizing learning theory is really important because when we've got that knowledge synthesis, the clarity of the path to mastery increases. So we can then see the path in front of us. In addition, we build a clearer hierarchy of people in a field, people who are giving really good information, people who are giving less good information. So we can take and apply the information, and we've actually learned to sift that information. So let's go back to the horse example. Did you say or think the colour of the horse is orange? Do you see the impact of important information? I have enjoyed learning to master many skills. I never like to claim mastery because I love the idea of continual learning. I never like the idea of I've arrived. I like the idea of going on the journey towards mastery. As you master a skill that you desire to learn, this will be great for your own personal growth. Birds of a feather, we grow together.